In all the tracking and kind of effort things, he would be a person that makes it an awful lot. It's more though, it's the consistency of that game that you really know what he's going to look like every single night. So, and that's just being a real good pro.
Well, I know Vladdy got the first power play goal in the double marriage. What have you seen from him offensively? He hasn't seen too many shots in goal. I know you guys.
No, I know, but it's not so much that. I mean, we put up a lot of shots. It's that for the most part, you're seeing him in the playoffs now, and there's 16 really good defensive. It's harder to come by even for the other team. So he has the ability to make that shot, and well, I've seen it for years. He used to, and he does it in the playoffs. That's what we think he brings. I think he's got a real good relationship with Barkey and Rhino. So the line is coming in and out because of other injuries, but he's been good.
Paul, I know you were saying about Nick Cousins yesterday and all the nice things he did. Do you actually explain that to him at the time, or do you?
Yeah, I mean, I grabbed them, all three of them on the ice. Not tell them who was out. I didn't. I just said, Sam's in tonight, and I think he is. One of you guys has to come out, and then I told him the truth. I told him how unfair that was, and but I hadn't. I wanted to make sure that I talked to my trainer first that he was good to go. We thought he would be a few days earlier, so we kind of targeted that game. And then I think it was tough. It was a tough call, but we got three really good players in the lineup 2 games ago, and still had 3 really good players. When I say it's a tough call, we got good players there.
Well, how hard is it to replicate, if you see what you do well in a game, you want to try to do it again, knowing what the other team's going to counter with? What's like today in the next 24 hours like? Trying to figure out what you did well and kind of replicate that the following day.
Well, we split all our meetings up into kind of systems and what we do, and it's more of a feel when your team struggles a little bit. I think you got to do the major systems on the off days because you have to take your time with it. So our off days are kind of around whatever video meeting is more casual, more mentally kind of light, and then we get to the 5-on-5 on game day. We try to establish, and we have from last year to this year, a routine so the players know exactly what's going to happen each day. So we don't change it up and all. We think that there was a lot of tension and pressure on game day, and then you have extreme emotions one way or the other. We need this day, this off day, to be quiet.
Right before Brandon Montour's goal in the third period, there is quite the commotion of water bottles and stuff that Brandon described to us. I mean, first, what was that atmosphere like at the time? And second, I mean, how much confidence does it take a guy like Brandon Montour to kind of uncork a big slap shot like that seconds after all that happened?
He's been good for us. I thought he was really rolling early, like he was skating very well in that game. The atmosphere in all of these buildings is intense, and these games, I think if you fast forward each game, 8 minutes left on the clock, and in the second period, you have no idea that there's going to be 17 goals coming. So it's been a grinder. I mean, we're 1-1 last night, and that's what happened, right? They put up 5, we put up 12 over 2 games. So it's been very, very tight. So the atmosphere, the tension, all of that, it's playoff hockey.
Following the Game 1 loss, you said there would be a loss in the postseason that would help your team moving forward. What's the biggest thing that your team has learned since then to respond so effectively?
So we've had 2, and I think the Tampa one was our skating. We wanted it so bad. Nobody wants to make a mistake, so everybody stopped skating. So they're positionally perfect, except you can't play the game like that. The loss against Boston was more. I felt movement in certain areas. We were slow in certain areas that kept slow over the course of the game. So if you can find the right trigger, the one thing that makes your game fast, and so I think we were just slow in a couple of areas, and we just addressed it.
Getting back to Bennett, I'm sure you saw him a decent amount when he was in Calgary and you were in Winnipeg. When you got here, did you know he'd be a guy that you could...
I didn't. So, and I've said this, he was in the 3 and 4 hole in Calgary and wing and center, and I didn't see it. But what happened was before I got here, I watched all the playoff hockey after and went, oh my God, this guy is a completely different player. Sometimes, especially guys that come into the league at center, when they're young, there's more of a an idea that they should go to the wing for a while. And there's a good reason for it, because when you're a centerman, you're also a defenseman. So I think you may have gotten jammed out there, and you stopped. I asked him what the difference was, because it's not coaching, right? I mean, he had a great year before I got here. He said he thought he got back to the game he played when he first came into the league, which was a really great statement. Now, it's not a good thing for every player, because players have to change. But he was drafted that high for a reason.
Is there something about his game, though, that fits really well in playoffs? Could maybe, I mean, he's a good regular season player, too, but.
Yeah, I think he plays hard all year. So when the playoffs come, there's no different game. He's not playing any harder last night than he was in November. So when it gets heavy and it gets hard, he doesn't notice.
The videos run, super slow-mo videos going around now where, you know, some people are accusing him of taking a punch at Marchand. Did you see it that way?
No. And I don't think most of you would have either. It was just a collision. And in a perfect world, every team has everybody healthy. Nobody likes to see anybody get hurt.
Yesterday morning, you said that you sent that that a power play would probably heat up at some point. Did you sense it coming for you, or was that coincidence?
Well, it's too easy a yes, so I'm going to say no.
Yeah.
But there wasn't anything I disliked about it. There wasn't, hey, we're not moving it fast enough, we're not doing these things. So it was good. Analytically, it's been very good.
To that end, it seems like a lot of series in these playoffs in particular have been defined by power play success or lack thereof, more so than previous seasons. Do you kind of see it that way?
In the games that we watch, but it hasn't felt that way in the games that we played. We thought we had to stay out of the penalty box against Tampa because their power play was just smoking. And they scored a bunch on us early. But our series have been very, very tight, even the first one. And there was big goals in the last game, but overtime games, 1-goal games. This series is far closer than the final score. You couldn't look at the score and have any idea what's going on the ice. And in those tight games, eventually, when you look back at the series, you almost always say it was special teams.
Paul, what's the biggest key to playing consistent playoff hockey?
Health, in truth, right? Motivation's not an issue for your players. You're just trying to get it focused. But the thing that changes a team more than anything is health.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thanks, sir.
We're-
Just speaking of just health and depth, things like that, we talked a lot about health. This team's deeper than it ever has been. Now on the bench you have Cousins, Gadjevich, Stromberg. Just outside of just having the guys there for when you need them, what is the biggest benefit to having so many NHL caliber players just on the sidelines for you guys?
Well, the belief in depth is important. So the 2/3 of that fourth line wasn't playing regularly a month ago for us, and Ryan Lomberg and Nick Cousins scored the overtime winner in Game 6 against Toronto last year. I mean, he's been on the ice in key times, and they're out now, but they've handled it very, very well, and they've worked very hard. And it makes you feel like a bigger family.